Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Jason Shea, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the field.
Every product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat like change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin. Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the industry. Jason Shea.
Every product we develop is really inspired by the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat like change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Toy Business Unboxed. Today we are joined by Ken, the brilliant mind behind Doren Toys and the creator of innovative games. Like with his experience in the toy industry, he combined his passion for design, education, and playful experiences to create products that appeal to all ages. And in today's episode, we'll talk about his philosophy behind the toys that he have created over the years, and we also talk about the stories and different games. So thank you so much, Ken, for being on our podcast today.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
So first of all, can you kind of start sharing with our audience your journey into the toy industry and what really sparked your passion for toy innovation?
Sure. Well, when I was in college, I was working at a summer camp and with high schoolers. And one of the traditional activities they did was trying to play ultimate frisbee as a fruit, which is a great game. But if you take just the general cross section of the population, people in general don't have enough frisbee skills to be able to complete the throws and catch it. So the games never went very well. And one day in desperation, I took a long sweat sock. At that point, socks were longer, and I put a clump of dirt into a bread wrapper, and we'd swing that around and throw it and catch it. And it turned out to be very fun and easy to throw. And before long, people didn't care about playing ultimate frisbee. They just wanted to throw this sock around. And it looked really weird flying through the air. And it was just old white sweat socks. But then that just became a thing. That's what everybody wanted to do. So I would just keep getting all of my socks out and ruining them as we'd play this game. And after a while, people would say, Ken, you ought to market that thing. Everybody loves playing with it. And then I got out of college, and there's a bit more of a story to that. But eventually I decided, after everybody telling me I should market it, that I didn't want to be rocking on the porch when I'm an old man thinking I had this idea for a toy. It was really fun, but I never did anything with it. So I decided to do it. And so with that one, it turned out there were things about it that could be patented. Actually, this is a Fling sock right here. It's got like a
perfect. Yeah, thank you for showing
at the end, and then it's got a knob at the end here. And so you swing it, and the beanbag makes it easy to catch because it doesn't bounce out of your hand. And the knob, you can catch it as it slides through your hand, and it gives you a consistent point of revolution. Anyway, it's very easy to throw and catch. And so I patented it, and then I licensed it to a toy company, and it's still being made today.
I see. So that's how you started. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I call it a classic toy since it's 25 years and it's still going, but nobody else calls it a classic toy, but I do because it's it is unusual to have a toy that's still being made 20 or 25 years after it comes out.
That's true, because sometimes it could be like a trend go like really well for a few years and it kind of died down and people don't really play with it anymore.
So once I started with this, that's what started to get me to Toy Fair as I was helping the company. It was licensed to Saturnian 1. And so I would go work their booth and just got embedded into the toy industry. And once you get one product from idea to marketplace, it's really addictive. And then you have other ideas and you just want to keep doing it.
Yeah, and can we also talk about some of your current product within the company? I know you have a lot of different product that you have designed over the year right now. Can you mention a few of them as well?
Sure. Well, the latest one is called Foros. And actually, I have that right here. It's essentially like a 3-dimensional 4-in-a-row game. It's the pieces are very physical. You stack those to try and get 4 in a row. The concept is very simple, but the gameplay can be very complex, and it's very quick to learn, and you can play it fairly quickly. So that's our latest game. I'm the founder of Keva Planks, and so that's where we invest most of our time. This is a new non-Keva product that we're coming out with now with Foros, but we're excited about this. There's actually a lot of crossover in some of the things we did with Foros with Keva Planks, because it's stacking.
Our listener that's not familiar with Keva Planks, can you also have some sample or kind of explain how the system works?
I have one here. There's a Keva plank. They're all exactly the same size and shape. And so it's very easy to stack those into almost any sort of structure you want. If you see in the upper corner, right about there, that's a glued structure. Normally you don't glue Keva planks, but since we have them, we glued and made some wall decorations with that. Normally you never glue a Keva plank, and Keva planks are so simple, but since they're made out of wood, the things you build out of them tend to be beautiful, and it appeals to all ages like Foros does. And Keva planks has been around for years, so that's really the foundation of our company, and the Foros is just our next item that we're launching.
I see. Okay, thank you for sharing that, and we can definitely put more information in the show note for people that want to kind of check out as listening or want to see how both of the game look like as well. So I think even for Foros is a very kind of a unique spin to like a classical games like the 4 in a row that has been around. What inspired you to design the game differently? Are you trying to tailor to different play personalities, or what is the main kind of reason behind the creation of that particular product?
Sure. When I started it, and this has been in the works for years before we finally got it to the point where it is right now, but I made the game that I want to play, where I love the tactile nature of traditional coffee table games. They're often made out of wood. They're beautiful. It just looks intriguing, and I want to play it. But then usually I actually don't want to play them. I like the idea, but then I almost never take the time to play it. They always have a set of rules that you have to they're kind of often oddball rules. You do this, but then when this happens, the whole board shifts or something. And so they all have more rules and more requirements of my time that I ever wanted to put into it. And so I like the idea. So I was trying to make a strategy game that I would want to play, that you can play quickly, that this one you can learn it in 10 seconds. It's sort of concepts that people already know, but nobody's ever done this before. And so people can start playing right away. And ultimately I wanted something in my house that when people come into the house, I have an instant social icebreaker where we don't have to just talk. We can play a game, or kids come in and maybe they don't have anything to do because the adults are talking. I say, why don't you guys play this game over here? And so they're playing a game together rather than being on their phones or something like that. So that was my starting point. And then a lot of other things with the game evolved out of that basic concept. But I usually start out with a concept is something that I think is fun and something that I want to play with. And then it rolls from there as to the different variations that it might take into.
I see. Yeah. Thank you for elaborating on that, because the product is definitely the 3D concept is very unique, and not a lot of people have done that. And I also want to ask a follow-up question. When you're designing something unique like that, you also try to get a utility pattern and design pattern to really try to protect your idea around the concept as well?
No, not really. With games, I haven't. With the Fling sock, this one did qualify for a utility patent,
Okay.
and there's a lot more power in a utility patent
Yeah.
than just a design patent. A design patent is really easy to get around.
Yeah.
But with most of the games, my belief is that you could spend a lot of time doing that, a lot of expense. It would be really difficult to enforce it because there's so many ways you could change the game just a little bit and it becomes a
Yeah.
different game. And so you could feel like you're protecting yourself and spend a lot of time on attorneys and everything, and you really don't have that much protection. So my philosophy is to do it well and to try to get it out into the market. So this is the game you want to play. This is it.
I see. Kind of like a
So I usually
market.
we do copyrights and trademarks and that sort of thing, but not utility patents.
I see. Okay. Thank you for clarifying as well. As part of this kind of the design process, do you also like do a lot of play testing to kind of figure out how big it is and how I understand the rule is fairly simple, but do you do a lot of play testing in for this particular product as well?
Yes, for this product and anything I'm coming out with, my first thing I do with an idea, I try to make a prototype as soon as I can, something that's
Mhm.
cheap and easy to do, and then and see if that works the way I think it's going to work within me playing it and with a few close friends and family. And as soon as we get some of the details worked out like that, I make a slightly better prototype, and then I start play testing it to find out whether other people think it's as much fun as I do. Because they're usually, I think I have a pretty good instinct. That's one of my skills for figuring out what are people going to find to be fun. And a lot of
Mm,
that is just sort of instinct, but I'm not always right. So I want to take something that I think is fun and then put it in front of people and watch them play. Sometimes I watch them play. Oftentimes I give it to them, especially once I've worked out the rules, and I want them to read the rules, play the game, and tell me if you could figure it out from the rules, and tell
mhm.
me if it was fun, if you have any ideas for a twist, what were some tough parts where you didn't quite understand what to do. And you just learn so much from that. And also, you learn whether people are kind of lukewarm, where they say, yeah, we played it a few times. We kind of like it. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear we loved it. And this is a really good game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when is it coming out? That's what I want to hear. And
Mm.
I usually try to test it with either friends who I know will give me their honest opinion, and then I try to get it to people that I don't even know, and just to
Mm.
hear what they're going to say.
For sure, for sure. And I think one thing you mentioned before the interview, the last time when we spoke, you also mentioned that children's toys doesn't have to look childish in order for it to be engaging. Can you also kind of explain on your philosophy on that as well?
Sure. That philosophy evolved from the Kiva plank side of things, just because Kiva planks they're all the same color. They're all just natural wood. There's nothing flashy about that at all. And yet anybody that starts to build with them is immediately compelled by it. They want to keep doing it. People who are not artistic and sculptural want to build things. And so the foundational play value of the block itself is where the fun comes from. And you don't have to make it special colors. And in fact, we've tried some colors and some competitors have tried putting different colors on it, and it actually just makes it ugly. It kind of
Mm.
muddles up the design process and it doesn't look any good. It looks like a bunch of
Mhm.
colors that were just thrown together. And so we've seen that if you have a really good play concept, children and adults the play concept is what is compelling, and the colors are not really that important. And especially for young children, they're going to play with whatever toy is fun and
Yeah.
according to whatever colors the adults put on it. So
Mhm.
so they may be playing with some wild or sort of standard primary colors, especially for very young children. It's so common it's going to be red, blue, yellow, and green, and it's going to be all of those colors mixed together.
Mhm.
And so it immediately looks like a preschool toy because of that.
Yeah.
And that's for the adults because they think it'll stimulate and make it more fun. But
Mhm.
if you make it more simple, you can make it so it has a much better design feel to it. And so it also helps young children
Mhm.
be able to experience what it is to live in a world where things look good. And this with Foros, by having just two simple colors, it has sort of a minimalist design, and the
Mm.
game looks like modern art as it grows. It's a beautiful game as it grows, and we didn't have to put lots of funky, wild colors into it to make it fun.
Yeah, I think you're also at the same time ensuring your product is appealing to both children and also adult alike, since because of the particular design element that you kind of incorporate.
And actually, with this game, we tried to make the box look very colorful and fun. So it would pop out and people would instantly think, that looks like a fun game. I think I want to buy that. But then once you open it up, then the board is just two colors, two tones of blue. So this looks much more toned down, something that a mom might want to leave on her coffee table and have out in your house because it doesn't look garish.
Okay, got it. And I also want to switch gear on the marketing aspect of the business a
Sure.
little bit because I'm pretty sure over the years you have tried a lot of different way to market. Can you share some of the success story of like what was working, and also maybe some of the thing that you tried that didn't work as well? That would be very insightful for our listeners.
Sure. Our biggest successes come from magnifying people who like the product. And so
Okay.
when we get reviews, sometimes going back to somebody that has given us a written view and we know that they absolutely love the product. And then sometimes we reach back to them and ask them if they would make a video testimonial of whatever it is that they like about that. And then we can use those to build on the brand and to convince people that these other people think it's a good product, and that grows. We also, with Keva planks, we go to trade shows. We market that a lot through to educators. So we go to a lot of education conferences, and we've developed ways to use Keva planks within schools educationally. And so I teach workshops on that. So I'm using Keva planks,
Oh, nice.
teaching
Okay.
teachers how to use them. And then ultimately, the teachers then are using Keva planks. So we've got hundreds and hundreds of kids playing with Keva planks who might say, that's what I want for Christmas. And so it can work its way around from within the school into the home for retail sales.
Yeah, I like how you share about working with school. I think that's something I even try with my own toy company because we design, toys for kids with special needs, and a lot of that is also geared toward school in a special education setting. When you're doing this kind of arrangement with the school, like how do you like really scale this? Do you just go in and do the demonstration in person, or do you send a sample out to the school first? How does you and your team facilitate this?
Yeah, it's only scaled in that I do it at conferences. So I don't have enough time or energy to do it one at a time at schools. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to train the trainer. I'm teaching teachers how to use it. So if I go to a conference and do a workshop session, I could have anywhere from 20 to 100 schools represented that are all seeing me demonstrate how to use Kiva planks for teaching things. And so then there's 20 to 100 people going back that can then start using that and share it. And one of the keys with that is that I'm needing to show in my workshops very serious, real ways to use Kiva planks in the classroom to teach the
Yeah,
subjects that they're doing and accomplish the goals that they're doing.
yeah.
They're very sensitive to thinking that they're getting a sales pitch to get Kiva planks. So so
Yes.
I never mention if they ask questions about how to get Kiva planks or something like that. I answer those questions and I have something they can pick up. But 99% of the session is just as if I were a teacher going
Mhm.
through these things of this is how you would teach geography with Kiva planks. This is how you
Mm.
could teach history with Kiva planks, math, whatever it is.
I see. And do you also try to design like specific curriculum so teacher can follow them and use your product kind of alongside with the curriculum as well? Or
Yes, we've written lots and lots of curriculum.
I
So
see.
And so that some of our insights into the way schools work, we started to move Foros into schools as well. We
Mhm.
a couple months ago we were part of a large Kiva Planks challenge, and we had a Foros challenge room. So we had like 20 games of Foros there, so people could come and they could play each other, they could play strangers. So we had sort of a mini informal tournament right there.
Oh, okay, nice. That sounds fun. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it went really well because it was doing just what I intended it to do, where strangers were playing each other because they liked the game and they'd finish one game and they'd look up and they'd want to know who wants to play me next, or moving around so they could play each other.
Yeah.
And the teachers could see that that's part of what they want in school as well, things that'll bring students together, things that'll help them think spatially and
Mm.
and make use of their time. So So the inroads that we have with Keva planks have also created inroads for us for Foros into the world of education.
Okay, yeah, I like that strategy on really trying to incorporate and have more kind of showing case like how interactive the game can be. I think that's something pretty hard to duplicate in the digital environment sometimes because it just doesn't have the same level of interactions from a human being to another human being. for sure.
Absolutely. And that's so critical.
And can you also share some of the challenges that you face when you're designing different product over the year, and some of maybe some of the major takeaway that you can also share with our listener?
I would say one of the biggest challenges is trying to make it to the quality that I want at a price that will work. Is
Okay. Yeah.
my natural intention is to always, whenever there's a choice between going cheaper or going better, I always want to go better. I always have this vision of a game that people are going to love and they're going to want to keep it for years to come. If you make it too cheap, then they may not want to even play it at all. And
Yeah.
so, but if you do that too much, before you know it, you may have something that's a wonderful game, but it's so expensive nobody's going to buy it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so trying to work that out and figuring out whether we can make it in the US or whether it has to go overseas. And so that's a critical question. And I will say, although we make some Keva planks are made in the US and some are made from overseas, the pricing is so much higher in the US that it's really difficult to make toys in the US. But we're one of the few toy companies that is successfully doing that in the mainstream. There's some that are making like small volumes of wooden children's toys and things like that, very simple things. But as a
Yeah.
mainstream toy company that's in a lot of toy stores and that sort of thing, we're one of the few that is making a US made product with Keva planks. With Foros, it was absolutely impossible to make it at a reasonable price point in the United States. So that one,
Obviously. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, definitely cost structure is a challenge for all of us in the toy and game industry, as we're trying to juggle just exactly what you mentioned about the demand. We want to make sure we ensure a higher level quality, but we also want to make sure it's not cost prohibitive that we
Right.
drive ourselves out of the market altogether.
Right. And so in the course of that, trying to figure out where you're going to make it, and for me also, since my natural bent as a toy inventor is to innovate, even when I have Foros, and maybe we'll talk about a little bit later, the many different ways you can play with this one game, I keep thinking of new ways to play it. That you could do this, you could do that. Like for instance, the game board, this is the primary where you play it, where it's a grid of 4x4, but I wasn't happy with that. So we flip it over and there's two more ways to play. And so
Okay.
you can play on the straight or you can play on the circle that we call Stonehenge. So there's three different ways to play the same basic game. And then yes, it's always 4 in a row, up, across, or diagonal. Primary goal of it, and you just take turns trying to get that and block your opponent before they get it.
I see.
And so we've got all these beautiful game pieces, and there's only two. There's the dark cylinders and the natural cubes. And so these are just wonderful building blocks. And so
Yeah.
there's so many things you can do with that. So I can show you maybe just a little bit here on this one page. If you're doing audio, you'll have to come watch it. But we showed things like this where you can just build creative things out of the block.
Okay, got it.
It's totally unrelated to the game, but sometimes there's nobody to play with, or you're tired of playing with the game, and you just kind of want to doodle creatively with something. And so a lot of people experience that with Jenga, where after they've played Jenga for a little while, they just start building things with blocks.
Yeah.
And we wanted to facilitate that same sort of thing. If these are out on the coffee table, it could
Yeah.
be that you're not interested in a game at all, but it would be kind of fun to make some interesting designs. And then we built other puzzles that you can do with them, other challenges and other games and stacking things you can do with the blocks. So we tried to, it didn't start out this way. It started out just as the 4 in a row stacking game. But
Yeah.
as I would start to contemplate other things you can do with building blocks, and since I'm considered a block expert in the world of education because of Keva planks,
Yeah.
a lot of those concepts flow right into this. This is just a different shaped block than Keva planks, but you can still do a
Yeah.
lot of the same sorts of things.
I see. Okay.
And some people there's different play styles with people as far as people that feel competitive or creative and what they think is the most fun. And then there's variation within an individual as far as what you feel like today versus yesterday. So if you build all of those different options into it, hopefully it's a game that can be sort of an activity center. So it earns its place to be kept out so people would be able to play with it in some way.
Yeah, and I like how you have different product kind of complement each other as well. I mean, some of the philosophy is kind of similar, and it's also learning some of very important aspect, for the kids and for adult alike as well. And also, we are kind of wrapping up today's interview. One of the questions I always like to ask my guests as we're wrapping up the interview is, if you had to share just one piece of advice with someone that's getting started within the toys or games industry, what would that be?
I don't know if I can boil it down to one. Let me do three quick ones.
Sure.
One would be to take action. Since I have a reputation with my friends and in the industry as a toy inventor, people often come to me with say, "Ken, I got this idea. What do you think?"
Yeah.
Very, very few people actually end up doing something with it. I talk to them about what they could do, what would be the next step. Most people who have ideas don't take action. All they do is talk about it. They think it must be somebody else that can take action on these things. If you
Yeah.
think you have a really good idea, do something with it, explore it to some degree. And the first step in exploring that, this would be number two, is make a prototype, make a cheap prototype very
Mm.
early. So
Yeah.
get it from your mind to a napkin sketch to something you can try. And
Mm.
that is the most important step for starting to figure out whether what you were thinking in your mind really translates into reality. I've had so many things where I wake up in the morning, I think I have this wonderful idea, and sometimes I can make it. And within 2 days, I already know that does not do what I thought it was going to do. It's not
Mm.
as fun. There's some problem with it. And
Yeah.
so I can figure that out. And I would have never figured that out until I actually make it. And when you're making prototypes, especially first ones, make them out of the cheapest materials you can find because it's guaranteed you're going to have to change it. So don't invest in trying to make a perfect game the first time,
Sure.
because you're definitely going to need to and want to make changes and improve it. And the last thing would be, don't mortgage your house in order to do your dream. When it will suck the fun right out of the whole process. If you are
Mm.
really on the brink of
Yeah.
they're not selling as fast as you thought they would, which is the case more than not. There's definitely
Yeah.
things where they do, but if you have quit your job and mortgaged your house and you've gone all in for this, which in some ways that's good, but if you can find a way to dip your toe in the water and figure out a level of risk assessment so that you can test the idea without putting all of that on the line, you'll enjoy the process because you won't have your heart up in your throat so much thinking, this is not going as well as I thought it would. Now what am I going to do? And so
Mm.
when I was starting with the Fling sock, my wife and I had this conversation of, well, how much money can we flush down the toilet if this does not work? And
Yeah.
so we both came to grips with that and said, if we lose all of this money and we have 10,000 Fling socks in our garage, we're not going to be mad at each other and we'll know we gave it our best shot. And so we had to mentally prepare for that. I've had some great successes, but I've also had things that were clunkers and did not make any money. And so if
Yeah.
I'd have started with that, I'd have been really up a creek if I had lost my house on the clunker. Anyway, so those are, there's a bunch of other things to consider, but those are three to think about.
Yeah, that sounds really, really good advice. And I remember when I first started, I also started on top of my corporate career, and kind of I was just moonlighting, trying to create toys on the side. But I did borrow some money against my house. I didn't mortgage my house. So,
Yes, you have to get the money from somewhere. And if you can do it yourself, then it's easier because you're only risking your money. And
Yeah.
I would always thought if I would have borrowed somebody else's money, I would have felt terrible if I lost their money, especially if they were friends or something. So I always
Sure.
like risking my own money whenever I could.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing those advices. So for our listeners that want to learn more about your company and yourself, what is the best place for people to find you online?
Well, you can check out the Foros game at forosgame.com and Keva planks at kevaplanks.com.
Mhm.
And then if you have any questions or want to talk to me, I love talking about new products or any of these things at ken@kevaplanks.com is where I can be reached out to. And especially Keva Planks is on most social media, so you can see a lot of that there.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I will make sure we put that into the show note. For our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Business Unboxed podcast. We hope you enjoy the conversation and find it insightful and inspiring. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode We really appreciate your support and would love it if you can leave us a review and share the podcast with your friend and colleague. For more resources, tips, and the latest update within the toys and game industry, visit our website at toy-launch.com. Join the conversation and connect with us on social media using hashtag ToyBusinessUnbox. We'll love to hear your feedback and suggestions for future episodes. Until next time, keep innovating, keep creating, keep bringing joys to toys. This is Jason Shea signing off on the Toy Business Unbox podcast. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, everyone.